Hey my friend, welcome to Real Home Studio and the second part of my Mixing Electric Guitar mini-series. Today I'm taking a look at mixing a riff within a chorus, why I chose that riff, how I mix that riff, and why I mix that riff within the mix and never in solo. Let's dive straight in.
Okay, so I wanted to just take a look at these supportive guitars, especially to show you the benefit of really mixing within the mix, because actually these two guitars on their own don't sound great. Definitely a bit underwhelming. I'm sure all you guitarists out there would agree. A bit fly in the jam jar. And a bit flabby, but they're supporting a lead line already, and with them in the mix, they sound like this. And they do an absolutely great job of supporting this line, which is already very Fendery, very aggressive. And what it actually needs is just a bit of support rather than another three sounds, which are also really kind of harsh and very very Fendery. Let's take it one more listen. And first off, that's the importance of not mixing these guitars in solo. When you're mixing with guitars, always mix within the mix. Because you can get a great tone, sure, if you're just working with one guitar, but really the trick is working within the mix to get a tone and a sound which works to benefit the mix rather than just that one instrument. So I wanted to show you through mixing this particular riff which comes into the chorus, and also talk about the benefits of having a line like this over just, strumming through it. And I always think of a band like Arctic Monkeys who are so good at coming up with great guitar lines and keeping their mixes as sparse as possible. And when you come up with a good line, it leaves a lot of space for everything else. So that's why with this line, it works really well to transition from the verse to the chorus without actually clouding up the mix too much with loads and loads of rhythm guitars.
I hope you're enjoying the video today. If you are, just want to remind you to please like and subscribe up to the channel. And if you want to get the fast track to radio ready mixes from your home studio, then grab my 21 mix hacks cheat sheet. Link is in the description box below.
Let's take a look at actually the processing which went on with this particular guitar line. So it's double tracked, hard left, hard right. And the solo guitar, the other Strat sound, is actually kind of, it's right at 59 on Studio One, so it's sort of halfway to the right. So I've kind of offset my mix of these two guitars, that the left is a little bit heavier than the right, so when it comes in, everything still feels balanced. So a fair amount of saturation from our channel strip, and a couple of boosts. One at 3.9 for a fair dollop of presence and attack still from our guitar. And another little boost, like a 2 dB boost as well, which is giving us a bit of kind of pick presence as well, a bit of Fenderiness. Onto the filters, filter at 150, for a line like this, we can afford to get rid of an awful lot of that low end, just not necessary for this supportive piece. And also a low pass filter as well, 8.2. Let's just take a listen to that on its own, what that's done. It off. So it's already quite a pretty big improvement. Let's move on. An EQ, which I think is doing pretty similar things. We're cutting out some of the mud, 320, some of this stuff that we just don't need, and we're dialing in a bit more presence, a bit more of the high end. One out. I tend to think of 2K, the pickiness, the aggression. 5K, that's the real presence. Back off. The cut in the muds really helps. Of course, listening within the mix again. Now in the mix at this point, if it's kind of a bit difficult to pick out exactly what you're doing, and it definitely can be when you're multi-layering guitars, this is when I say drop on. In Studio One it's called Mix Tool, but any gain plugin right at the end of your chain, give it a 5 dB boost, so you're giving yourself a bit of a favour. You're mixing within the mix, but if you can't hear what's going on, there's no good in that. Drop a mix tool on, give any gain boosting plugin, give it a 5 dB boost. Now we can hear more what's going on. And when you're done with the mixing, just drop it off again. Next up, little bit of compression, tiny bit of compression, really just for some vibe, bit of thickness. About 1 dB of gain reduction. Let's take a listen. Just glues it together a bit. Yeah, it just brings it forward actually, I think, a little bit. Glues it together, a little bit more thickness. Love an LA28 on some guitar. Next up, and a big game changer, some tape saturation. This is dirty tape from Softtube. Any tape saturation. And this is going to really help to, one, give the guitar some vibe, some analog vibe, come away from that digital harshness. And it's particularly that harshness which I want you to listen out for. I mean, this is quite an extreme plugin, actually, Dirty Tape, but I like it for it. Cleaning up all that hair on the top of the guitar. In the mix. It's just helping this guitar to be more supportive. There doesn't need to be any more stuff going on up there. The original Stratline's already doing that. It's just smoothing that guitar out. Finally, a little bit of vintage reverb. I've been using this plugin a lot since it was released for free a few weeks back. Row Gold. I've also tuned it a little bit. We've rolled off quite a lot of the low end too. Just drop mix tool off. And without our guitars on, kind of sounds a bit more demo-y when we drop them out. And back in. Sounds great. So that's really why mixing within the mix, not mixing in solo, is so crucial, because at the end of the day, it's not a great guitar sound that we've got on this bus, just two guitars, hard left and right, which sound a little bit on their own. But when they're brought into the mix to support that Strat sound and come into the mix, they really make a really big difference to our mix. And that's what mixing is all about. Balance. Not just working with one track, but obviously all those tracks coming together to make something cohesive and be bigger than the sum of their parts. I hope you enjoyed today's guitar mixing tutorial. If you did, please remember to like, subscribe. Most importantly, go have yourselves a great day.